coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tycho.
Zig in the Zone. Turns out this is a nooner. Late start. Paulie, how the hell are you?
I'm here, Ziggy. I'm in one piece. I made it to my own funeral. Not on time, but I made it to my own funeral.
Well, let's put that funeral off for as long as we can.
For at least the next 59 and a half minutes.
59 and a half minutes. All right. Please do. We have a terrific guest. Nothing more that I can say about a woman that she is not just a Facebook friend, but a friend in life, and someone that I care a lot about. Julia Park Tracy is an author, used to own, manage, and she was the main person in the Alameda Sun, a local paper that is so missed in this city of Alameda since Julia Park Tracy and her husband, my friend Patrick Tracy, moved to Grass Valley. You were the poet laureate in Alameda. You are a published author and a successful one, an interesting one. And like all of us, you've been through a lot in life. And I'm going to introduce you to Paulie first and say hi to Julia. And he will when he does. And I'll let you talk about what it is that's going on in your life right now, the book that you want to talk about. And I want you to, if you would, share your thoughts about what we're living through as a country. However what elicits your thought process, good, bad, or indifferent.
So joining us is Julia
voice.
Park Tracy, right? So there we go.
All right,
Julia, jump on in, darling.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure what my next step was, but I'll do a little tap dancing. Thank you so much, Zig, for having me. It's great to see you and chat in person. We've been Facebook friends for a million years when we're not in the same room. And Zig has always been a terrific supporter. Back from when I was the editor at the Alameda Sun, I was at Alameda Magazine and Oakland Magazine. I was also at some other local publications like East Bay Express and the music scene and some other things that are based in the vicinity of the East Bay. And we've been in touch and ran into each other on the street or coffee houses or lighting up behind the library or whatever.
Right. Whatever, indeed.
Run into each other many times, and I've always appreciated Zig's, authentic stance and enthusiasm for sticking it to the man and all that. So I have very much enjoyed all of our interactions, and I appreciate your kind words to me, and I also consider you a dear friend. So thank you for that very warm welcome.
I'm glowing at that. Jay. Thanks for your patience. We got a late start today. We're going to call ourselves Zig in the Zone for a nooner. And
we've always wanted to have a nooner, and here we are.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Wherever we are, wherever anyone is.
What was the old 70s song? Afternoon Delight.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
A classic.
Yes.
There you go.
So I had to leave Alameda, not that I wanted to because I was very happy there, but our youngest graduated high school And my husband, Patrick, became disabled. He had a back issue that he'd had surgery on a number of times, and it really only got worse. It didn't get better. And after, I think he's had 10 back surgeries now, there's a certain point that they call it failed back surgery syndrome. It's just not where you want to be. So it made it really hard for him to drive or stand for long periods of time. And so commuting to San Francisco, to the dog patch and all that, he ended up taking a long-term disability. And then just this year, he's officially retired because he hit that magic Social Security number. So so that was, it didn't make sense for us to stick around in Alameda with no kids in school and with no job to go to. And I could work from anywhere because I've been, just freelancing, writing novels and what have you. So we had, during the downturn in like 2011, we bought a house up in the Russian River area that had been foreclosed on and had been standing empty for a couple of years. It was just a little like vacation cabin. So 650 square feet, just a little space. And so we did a massive downsizing, like for everything from putting all the records into digital form on the computer and getting rid of so many books and so on. So we did all that. We moved up to our place in the Russian River area, and we were there for 3 years. And in that 3 years, well, I wrote 2 books for one thing, but in that 3 years, we had 2 major fires: the Tubbs fire and the Camp fire. And there was a third fire, which I think was the one that hit Paradise. And so we were also evacuated around that time. So we were evacuated 3 times. We had a major flood on the Russian River, so we were marooned. And we also lost our son, who died in 2019. And then shortly thereafter, we had a massive pandemic. So a lot of things were happening in those 3 years that made them years I don't particularly want to repeat. But because of our son dying, and people in Alameda remember Austin Tracy, he was a dear boy, and growing, had graduated and was trying different things and so on. In any case, after he died, I just said, I need a different view. I need to kind of see what's coming down the pike, because living in the Redwoods, you can't see fire, you can't see flood, you can't see anything coming your way. You're just in the forest. So we decided to move up into the Sierras. We're about midway in the Sierras at 2,500 feet. And we bought a house that was just decrepit. My daughter was calling it McDumpy's because it was such a dump, but it was a beautiful old Victorian, and we spent all of the pandemic just fixing it up. We had a little pod of people, and we, from soup to nuts, we did everything on this house. And it was a good way to pass a pandemic. It was a good way to spend some quality time. And for me, pounding all those nails and using the drill gun, I learned how to drive I'm not a tractor, but a big pickup with a trailer behind it, full of drywall and things like that. I learned how to use the Sawzall and a chop saw and a tile saw and a wet saw. So I learned how to use a lot of tools. I did a lot of drilling, chopping, painting. I did a lot of physical manual labor. I was the I won't say the foreman, because I don't know what the guys were doing, but I was kind of the COO of making sure we had supplies. And I always went and picked up the 20-pound bag of ice in the morning. And kind of funny, when we first started it, I was like, this 20-pound bag of ice. And not that far into it, I'm carrying them on my shoulder, just like, yeah, 20 pounds of ice, no big deal. So I got very strong, and we ended up with a beautiful house. So, and it was before the pandemic, housing prices went up. So we actually got it for a reasonable price back in the day, and we're able to spend the money to fix it up. So I have my own office here. I have lots of vintage stuff like my light fixtures, and I have a window seat over here that's from an old Victorian house that we were able to put in here. And all kinds of interesting bits and pieces around the house. And this is my office, and this is where I do my work. So I won't say I write every day, but I write when I have a book to write. I end up mostly doing kind of what would you call it? Kind of a blast or a stint at it, as opposed to writing every day. Typical of me as a journalist, I'll put it off for a while, and then I'll go, I'll just like, sit down for 2 weeks and write something, like crazy. But anyway, that's kind of what I've been doing. I have a chicken coop here. So we're up in Grass Valley, kind of right on the edge of the historic downtown. So I have a chicken coop in my backyard. I have a beehive in my backyard. I have 3 cats, 2 of which are kittens, which may or may not walk across my lap or desk or climb my leg while we're talking. And what else do we have? I have a big vegetable garden and many projects.
And
okay, what do you miss most? You have a great life, assumed. Yeah, and my picture flipped. So
yeah, and I just took your leg off film because that's a premium service that you charge.
I know.
If you want to go on to Zig's Only Legs page and subscribe, then we'll get your subscription.
Well, you can tell people I'm a war veteran and make twice as much. Everybody makes money in war, so you don't knock it until you need money. Hey, what do you miss most about Alameda? You have a great life, like I say, and you are the most content person and a person who is responsible for their mindset and what goes through your head. To get by, Austin, and you never fully do, I'm sure, is a skill set in itself. My God, I remember Tally coming in to tell me about it that day, and first time she saw me cry.
Who was that?
So
Tally, his girlfriend. Tally, his girlfriend, his ex.
And not the last time, but
she was the first time she saw you cry, but not the last time. Got you.
Yeah, and so just getting by that and remaining productive and not be under the covers with your head under the covers and not wanting to get out of bed. To me, that in itself is you're to be commended about that.
I appreciate that. But for full transparency, I wasn't able to write. I could hardly speak a whole sentence for like 2 years, and that's why getting this house and doing all this physical labor. Physical labor is really good for many things. I mean, it literally is a lifesaver because for me, at least, I mean, moving a pile of bricks from this side of the property to that side of the property, or like digging rocks out of the ground, or any of that, it's just really good for working out feelings. But I mean, this is the thing, and I don't know if this is a woman thing or is just a me thing. I really felt like, my job is to protect my family, and I really threw myself like starfish, in front of the bus. That's my deal. I will throw myself in front of the bus to protect my family. And to not be able to protect Austin, and just to be clear, he died by suicide. So to not be able to save him from himself, to protect him from that, it really, it makes you feel very fallible, makes you feel so impotent. And what am I here for? And I had one job as a parent, right? So it was really hard. I mean, to even speak, to like really just to talk about it. But because my job is to protect my family, I took the calls from the police. I did the research for the cremation. I am the one who made sure that we got the death certificate, and I looked at it. I protected my husband and my kids from having to do any of that. But it definitely took a toll on me in different ways. Like internally, I'm just like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, what am I? I mean, ugh. And it took me a couple years to be able to write again. So it kind of flooded my brain with trauma where I wasn't able to just sit down and like, I'll just write a poem. You know, I mean, I couldn't do that until
you were ready, right?
I was what?
Until you were ready, right?
Until I was ready. Absolutely. Yeah. So it was a long time coming, but helpful to do. I really feel like physical labor or walking, jogging, knitting, like repetitive mindlessness or very physical things. I feel like are really good for keeping busy and working your way through some of this stuff, because you can get into kind of the fugue state of where you can really think about stuff in that situation. So that was part of it. Saying that I'm content is, first of all, nothing could ever be as bad as that day or that week or that year. Nothing can ever be as bad as that. And when I had breast cancer in 2023, and I had radiation, and then they said, actually, I had the surgery and then radiation. Then they go, oh, well, we think that this kind is really metastatic, so you better also have chemo. I'm like, what? So that's why my hair is really short. I'm still growing it out. But I was like, crap. Okay, so I went and I had the chemo. And even my worst day of sitting there bald and feeling exhausted and having my fingernails fall off and my eyelashes fall out and all my nose hair fell out, so that my nose ran for 6 months straight.
You would think that would have been your hardest situation, but then you're referring back to the thing with Austin, and it's like, oh, that was a walk in the park compared to that.
Right? That's my point, is all of that stuff is like, yeah, but I've had worse. So in that sense, I think happiness is very fleeting. You can have happy moments, but happy is not really a state you can aspire to. You can't like live happy. It's like there's so much reality around you, but being content is, I think, living in a state of contentment.
Yeah.
That is the closest to nirvana, because you're okay. You can be grateful for things. You can be happy about things. You can see things with some equanimity and some perspective, and I just feel like that's kind of where I am. I'm happy to be here, happy to have what we have, know where I worked hard and what I've kind of earned for us. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it just landed in my lap or whatever. I really do make a conscious decision to be.
You are truly in the zone, as I think of what the zone is.
And Zig, I'll put you back on camera even if you flip your phone. Even if you can't see, we'll at least be able to see you, and I'll pretend like you can see us.
Okay.
So,
or you could put a picture up of the old man.
I'll try to.
Or you could
I can do that
nothing
too.
up. It doesn't matter. Julia, if you had one thing to do over again, avocationally, what would have it been?
You mean?
Yeah, when you were young, was there something you missed out on?
I would think, just speaking my truth, I feel like I bought into the societal and generational familial demands of middle class women, women and girls in my social class and, suburban California, whatever, to be quiet and not speak up and don't cause waves and don't make a scene. What are people going to say? Don't make a fuss. I would have fussed, I would have trusted my gut. I would have, a lot of that stuff. I would have done all that, and not having done it, placed me in various predicaments along the way where, I got screwed over or I made bad choices or what have you. But I was trained to, shut the hell up, don't cause a scene, sit down your rock in the boat, button your lip, pipe down back there. You know what I mean? Just like the whole thing about just be quiet. And you can't really tell your story if you're quiet. You have to, speak your truth. And so I have this thing now, since I split up from my ex, I felt like there were a lot of secrets in our marriage, and I am very adamantly opposed to dirty secrets. If it's true, then tell it. I don't mean you can't have privacy. Privacy is different, but I mean we're not going to have a dirty secret that everyone knows but no one talks about, and it becomes like a toxic boil, on your relationship. So I really feel like we're not going to pretend that this isn't happening, and we're going to say, oh well, he's sick again when he's drunk, or you know what I mean. I don't want to do the falseness. So that's why I'm very open about Austin's suicide, and talk about him a lot. I'm sorry I'm moving, but I have cat fighting going on under my feet.
Oh wait, we got which one? Who do you have your money on, Zig? Which cat? Which one's gonna win this fight?
I have no horse in
nor cat in the race. Okay, good. Okay, good to go. That's what I like about you.
Old kittens, and they are doing the rock'em sock'em robot thing here. He's got her in a headlock, but she's kicking him in the face.
Yeah, I saw that the other day with the runt of the litter and the mama, and that's the only two that can get together with mama is the runt. So I get it. So
love it.
So let me move forward. So you were saying, to answer Zig's question, you were basically saying you would have lived your truth earlier on, because it sounds like you're living your truth now. It's Absolutely. Just that you feel that maybe just you would have done it earlier.
Yeah, and it's funny because so I'm 62 now. I mean, I was younger and I will eventually be older, but right now I'm 62. Kind of embracing, my age and being okay with it.
Right.
At my age, my grandmother was, sitting in an armchair and she didn't move. She didn't go anywhere. She didn't have people over. She'd never worked and she'd never driven. So she was sitting in a chair and she had a book, and she also had her little transistor radio where she would listen to the news or she would listen to the A's baseball game. But other than that, she might as well have been sitting in a rocking chair, and she was stiff because she never exercised. And I just think, like, people before us missed so much by following the societal rules of, oh, well, you're old, so you sit down. You're a woman, so you're quiet.
Right.
You're a child, so you have nothing to offer. I mean, I'm past a lot of that stuff. I was starting to say, though, I really feel like every decade just gets better. My mind is sharper, and my ability or interest in putting up with bullshit is over.
Yeah, right. Zero tolerance for that kind of shit anymore.
Zero. I'm like, really? Is this what's happening here? Yeah.
Nice.
And so you find your expression through writing, and you said it took a while after Austin's passing to get back in there, but it was probably very therapeutic. The first thing you wrote, was it, no matter what it was probably cathartic, but was it something hard or was it something nice and fluffy?
It was not fluffy. It was like the potent distillation of the last 2 to 3 years.
Wow. So everything from the pandemic, Austin, and all the stuff you had described earlier on this podcast. was culminating, and that's what came out of you?
Yeah, I wrote it. I wrote a piece called Square Nails and Old Redwood, and it was
Okay.
about renovating this house. And it started out as like a Facebook post, and a friend of mine said, you should, you know, fill this up a little bit, round this out a little bit, and send it to my friend John. Can I remember his last name? The guy who was the editor at the Chronicle editorial page. John, I can't remember, Ryan, something like that. He had a, anyway, can't remember his last name at the moment.
John Shea?
That might have been he. Yeah. So I sent it to him, and he put it in the Sunday edition and in the Insight, like the color edition with art and stuff. So it got a really big placement. And then the San Francisco Press Club gave me an award for it also. So anyway, it ended up being like one of the best pieces I've ever written.
Now, let me ask you this, because I'm not going to armchair it, but okay, I lied. I'm going to armchair it. So I'm a part-time bartender and or therapist. And so you were talking about the old redwood and nails of this house and redoing this house. Was that kind of an analogy or a metaphor? A metaphor. That's the word I was looking for. Was it kind of a metaphor for what you were going through?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. Because we went through those 3 fires, and then we found this house, and we were going back and forth. And also my husband's mother was in hospice and dying of, of her stuff. And so there was a lot going on. Kind of the duck is smooth sailing on top, but underneath just it was churning like crazy. There was a lot going on, in up to and into the pandemic, beginning of the pandemic of 2019, 2020. And we had to get new siding for this house. This house was made of redwood back in 1880, and it was finally like rotted off. So we came across a guy in Sonoma County, California Woods, I think it was called. I can't remember. This guy, he started out as a skateboard maker, and he would take wood that people had chopped down, trees, and he would mill that wood. And what he was doing was rescuing the redwood trees that people had cut down off their property as garbage after these fires. So after the Camp Fire, the Tubbs Fire, and even the fire up in Paradise. And
November 8th.
if you get rid of the burnt outside, you have fire hardened, essentially first or second growth redwood inside. And he milled that garbage into beautiful new siding for this house, which we then used on the house. When we were pulling off the old siding, it was put on with square nails. Like there were square nails everywhere. And we went around with that little rolling thing, that the magnet, and picked up nails like every day on the construction site.
Right.
And there were so many. I have jars filled with square nails. And to me, I look at the square nails and I go, somebody made this nail by hand.
Right.
And we made, so taking the garbage trees, the garbage redwood trees, and making them new again was partly the renaissance of what we were doing with the house. We were giving life to something after a death. We were able to do something moving forward and positive and life-giving.
As a rebirth. So as a rebirth,
a renaissance, that's what that means. And from the old nails, it told me that there were people here before who'd had lives that, were happy or sad or tragic or whatever, and they left square nails in this building, and then life went on. And so I was able to put these 2 things together, like life keeps going, and we're doing something. This house will last another 100 years or something because of the work that we've just done. And someone will come along and say, I wonder who did this. I wonder who did this to this house and, put this fireplace in and did this and that. I just felt like it was the continuity of, life on this planet. It was continuity, and it was remaking. It was the Phoenix rebirth. It was all of that kind of put together. So that's why I went with Square Nails and Old Redwood. It was about resilience, surviving, and being resilient.
Yeah. You're terrific. You make a great podcast guest.
Thanks.
Tell us about your book and what you have going there, and where you have book shows or signings or whatever. A lot of it must be Zoom these days. What's going on?
Well, let's see. Some things are Zoom, but I like to do in-person events also. There were very few events. Well, they didn't have events during the pandemic, and it's taken bookstores a while to kind of come back to doing events. And they don't want to do events if you're not going to have 50 people there. They really want large audience events. So it's kind of hard to talk them into it these days. But I will visit any book group, through Zoom or in person if it's, within an hour of me. I don't really want to drive hours and hours on end anywhere, but so I do both of those things. And I do go to events such as the Bay Area Book Festival. I was there just for one day. But I have been to the California Independent Booksellers Association trade shows, the Pacific Northwest Booksellers Association trade shows. Those are opportunities to talk to booksellers directly, and then they can, say, "Oh, well, I met this author, and this is her book." I mean, so it's a good way to like mix and mingle. So I've written books over the years, and then they kind of sat in the drawer and mellowed with age, right?
Right.
I had written a couple of books in the teen years, so 2015, 16, 17, right? I was working on a couple different books. And then we moved up to Sonoma County, and then it was nothing but drama up there. So I didn't get a lot of writing done. And then Austin died, and I didn't get a lot of writing done. So it was 2022. A friend of mine decided that we should start a publishing company of our own because we knew a lot of women who were not getting their books published. So the company is called Sibylline Press. Sibylline for the Sibylline books, the Sibyls, the wise women. And the company publishes only women or female identifying, so trans or non-binary is fine, but specifically women 50 and older. There will at some point probably be a men's imprint and, in different ages or what have you. But at the moment, that's the imprint that is rocking. And it has found an audience because most booksellers are women over 50 and most readers are women, tend to be women over 50. The people who buy books tend to be women, mostly over 50. So it's kind of a sweet spot in the industry.
Well,
So
and I was going to say, there's three of us talking here that are writers. Two of them have been published, you and Zig. I've never actually published. I've written screenplays that I've pitched and then that sit in a binder. I'm a writer and stand-up comedian, so I've written hours worth of material over the last 16 years or so. But this is where my question is: do you cheat? Wait, let me rephrase that. Do you use AI at all?
Well, I ask Siri questions, and Siri is AI.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I use voice to text when I'm texting, that's AI.
Yeah.
When I've had carpal tunnel issues, I've used the dictation. That's a form of AI. But as far as writing my books, give me a break. I mean, why be a writer if you're not going to do the writing?
Right.
It's like, I'm going to be a baseball player, but I'm going to put this robot out there to play the game for me. It doesn't make any sense. That it's like, where's the pleasure in that? What is that for?
Well, it's funny. It's funny now that I've always strayed away from like phrasing. Like, I don't want to stick in some of my writing and have it correct it and have a different flow, because it's not going to sound like me. It's not going to have my voice. It will.
Your
sound
voice
like,
is not something that you can imagine. It has it's each person has their own voice, and
right,
you
and
can
their own
apparently you can have
their own voice, their own cadence,
sure.
everything from their pauses to it's part of their personality. So I've not really used it for that, but I've used it for. It's funny because now even when you write a social media post, and before you hit post, sometimes it goes, "Oh, do you want us to rephrase this for you?" And it's like, "No, I'm good. Do you want it to
I
sound
have
better?"
almost never done that. I do sometimes dictate on my. So I had hand surgery because
I noticed the blue tape. Yeah, I didn't know if that you were a bowler.
No, it's because the Taxol that I took as chemo gave me some nerve damage in my hand, and I couldn't bend my thumb. So I had surgery in there, and they went in and cleaned it out or whatever.
Sure.
Anyway, so I have not been able to open jars, and it's whatever. It's just an inconvenience. But because of that, I can't like thumb text. So I do a lot of verbal texting or verbal email responses on my phone. And I have had AI recast those emails because from my phone because voice to text sometimes it repeats itself.
Right.
Like it'll put it in there 3 times. So I will hit the AI button and have them clean it up because I don't want to say, how are you? How are you? How are you? I just want to say, how are you? I don't know why sometimes my phone does that, but
oh yeah, it triplicates and doubles things and stuff like that. That's funny. So you had it sounds like you had the cartilage in your thumb cleaned out. Hopefully you didn't.
Yeah, there was calcium or something.
Hopefully you didn't. Hopefully you didn't spend more than like let's say $10 on that because it's basically like cleaning a bong, and I think Zig would have done it for free. That was a joke.
It never occurred to me to ask
appreciate
him,
Zig
but
laugh.
my insurance covered it, so I'm happy about that. Which, by the way, I've covered California, so I've covered California. Took care of it for me. Thank you very much.
There you
cost
go.
Me 0.
Nice.
And I couldn't help but notice your ink on your forearms.
Yeah, this one is Femina Scribit, which means the woman writes or the writing woman.
Sure.
And this is a
semicolon.
A semicolon, and this is a symbol for people who have experienced suicide as a survivor or as someone who's tried to do it or whatever. But if you see this mark, it's usually there's some kind of either rock bottom, like drug abuse, but generally it's about suicide. So if you see this on someone's arm or wherever their tattoos, that's what the semicolon means. And I have this in a visible place so that people can see it. It's not an emoji. I'm not trying to do smiley faces.
Yeah, or a little winky eye or something, or
it's not that. The other one, I don't know if you can see it. This is
an ampersand.
Ampersand, and that is inclusive of my whole family, my children and my stepchildren. We're one family, so it's not an or.
And your children and your family and your I got it. Ampersand. Okay, cool.
It's an ampersand, yeah.
And so, show us the first one, the one on your left forearm, because I didn't. I was looking at myself in the mirror. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. And that was active lighting too.
Nice.
So you have many forms of expression.
Paulie brought me to video podcasting from years and years of audio podcasting. It's more like radio. This is more like life a little bit. We're not a show. We get on the air and we kibitz. And it makes it fun. And I hate to change the mood.
Wait, though, I didn't answer the question. I was explaining about the publishing house, but I didn't tell you about my book. So give me 2 more minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. We're moving on. But I do want to talk about that other stuff because that is
what's going on in the world later on.
But so let me quickly tell you about my books. I have books that I had written in the past. I have a couple books about my great aunt Doris, the Doris Diaries.
I love those.
All about the Roaring Twenties. It was her diaries, and it was a real fun glimpse at what she had done in the 20s. I have a collection of poetry which came out when I was poet laureate, and then I had a literary novel which originally came out in 2003 and was just reissued by Sibylline Press. That is Tongues of Angels. It's a literary fiction. So, but I started writing historical fiction because it was a good way to kind of comment about today while writing about the past. So, The Bereaved, I wrote The Bereaved about one of my great grandmothers, my third great grandmother, who had lost her children to the orphan train and had to track them down and get them back. But it was really about all that. It's historical stuff. But I was writing this during the first Trump administration separation of families at the borders. So there was in the news, there was this Spanish speaking mother. She didn't speak English, but her child had been taken from her at the border, and it was like 12 months later, and the kid was a toddler now, and he didn't recognize her, and she kept calling his name and sobbing because he didn't know who she was. And so that's kind of the core feeling of this novel, The Bereaved, is about the separation of families. And this was happening in New York in 1860. Kids were being swept out of the corners of Manhattan and stuck on trains and sent out to the Midwest for manifest destiny. Let's build this country, shoot all the buffalo, wipe out the natives, and plant wheat. Okay, so that was kind of the core of that novel. The second one that I wrote was about an ancestor I discovered a few generations before her. My seventh great grandmother, her name was Silence Greenleaf, and her name's Silence, very puritanical, right? To name your children these things like purity, chastity, silence, comfort,
Faith,
prudence, right?
faith.
So her name was really Silence. And so I imagined a story around her of what do you do about the silencing of women? And so I created a story around her real name and the real circumstances of her life, where she was sentenced for a year of silence for speaking out. And as I was writing this, the Christine Blasey Ford and Kavanaugh hearings were going on. Elizabeth Warren was speaking, truth to power and being told. Nevertheless, she persisted and was being censured. Women were being silenced all over the place. AOC is being silenced. Meg Whitmer was being silenced. All of the Me Too women were being had been silenced. So that rage underlies the entire novel. So if you want a novel about Puritan witchcraft, this book is for you. But if you want a novel about female rage at being silenced, it's also for you, and it's the same book. So Silence by Julia Park Tracy. Go to Books Inc. They should have it in stock.
Do you have a copy of it that you can hold up? I'm sorry, I should have had a thing of it. I should have had.
I'm going to take you with me across the room.
Cool. And of course, Ziggy, I kept you waiting so long, your mic's starting to do it. Where are we at? We're at 45 minutes in. Not bad, considering I made you wait this long.
Hang on. I'm going to hold up.
You got it. Silence. So I'm going to do... oh, there we go. Hold on. Here we go. There's your book. And you can get that on Amazon and...
You can get that at Books Inc. downtown in Alameda. You can get it at any independent bookstore. You'll probably find it on the shelf. If not, they can order it for you. But yeah, or you can get it online. Bookshop.org is a non-Jeff Bezos affiliated.
Oh yeah, we like that. We like that.
Here's the other one. Let me hold this up.
Please do.
This is The Bereaved.
Ooh, look at that lighting. Look at that. That looks sexy.
Look at this. Right here, it's on my wall. Check this out.
Nice.
Oh, there it is. There's where it came from.
It's not a necklace. It's actually just a wall. It's got a.
Who's eyeball?
It's an eyeball. Yeah, it's called the morning or the lover's eye. It was a kind of it was a they used to do those kind of things and send them between lovers because my eye is looking at you.
Gotcha.
Anywho, so those are mine. I have other stuff that's in the works, but it's not ready to go yet, so I don't want to really, chat about it. But in any case, I have a 40-year history as a journalist and a keen eye for politics and an extremely leftist bent, which I had to sit on while I was a journalist. But now that I'm not a journalist, I can say whatever I want. And so I'm ready to segue into the next section, but know that my novels do have an underlayment of just because it's historical fiction does not mean it's only about what happened in the past. It's also about now.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
Tell me what you want. I'm just fascinated and happy that you're with us. You mentioned a left-wing preference. Anymore, you look at people who aren't left-wing, and you just wonder. You don't have, because the left wing per se has gone towards the middle. And
I don't want to get caught up in who's left and who's right and all that kind of stuff. What I want to focus on is decency, and false religious claims. People who say, I'm a Christian and I'm a Jesus, blah blah blah. But Jesus said, what you do for the least of these, you do for me. So when did I not feed the hungry? When you didn't feed the hungry, you're not feeding me. When I didn't, clothe the naked, you did that to me. What you did to the least of these, you did for me. So, people who sit there and claim to be holy, if they're not doing those things, then they're not going to be knocking at heaven's door. They're not going to get in, right? According to their own, theology. I myself am not a Christian. I used to be a practicing Catholic, and then I was a nothing for a long time. I'm closest to a pagan or a Celtic spirituality, even Celtic Christian spirituality, because it's very nature centered. I do belong to the Unitarian Universalist Church up here, but also I'm kind of the thing of if they want me to be in the club, I don't want to be a member. My husband and I are both kind of like that. I can be very introverted, so I don't always go to group things, but I really believe very strongly in feeding the hungry. I believe very strongly in justice. If one of us is chained, then none of us is free. The influence of wealth has been a problem since we discovered shiny gold objects. And it was a problem in Rome 2,000 years ago. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's. It's a problem. It was a problem 200 years ago. It's a problem today. I don't think people should be billionaires. I think that when you hit a certain point, there used to at least be the religious pressure that you were blessed, so you have to give back. Well, wealthy people don't give a rat's ass about giving back. I would say Melissa Gates is one of the few. I think who else? Was it Armin? No, Buffett. Warren Buffett. He's okay. Not great, but better. I feel like you guys have all this money. You could get all the rape kits tested, so these women wouldn't have to live forever not knowing what happened, and these dudes wouldn't be out doing more. The rape kits would be like $2 million, and they'd be cleaned up. It'd be nothing, and it would change hundreds of thousands of lives. You could pay off the lunch debt, and there shouldn't be lunch debt, by the way. You could pay off the lunch debt of every school children in America if you gave a rat's ass about other people besides yourself. But absolute power corrupts absolutely. So,
hey, Julia, achieve the same effect if one taxed religion? And wouldn't the homeless not be homeless? Wouldn't the uneducated become educated? Would the hungry be fed? All these things could be done if they tax religion.
If they tax religion, I think that I mean, I'll tell you, we can't post anything religious on our little newsletter that goes back and forth with the Unitarian Universalists, and they're as liberal as you can be because they don't even talk about God. There's not the mention of God or Jesus at church at all. It's peace and love. Peace and love, baby. We can't talk about that stuff because we could lose our tax status. We could talk about it offline and in person, but we can't do it inside the building and all that. So absolutely, if people are saying, you go to vote for blah, 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 or frickin' Joel Osteen, and some of those people are just revolting. It just revolts me, the sickening hypocrisy of taking people's money and forcing people to tithe 10%. I mean, taking it right out of their paychecks and all that.
People are tithing their food money with good intent, and it never comes back to the people. And, you know,
it's disgusting.
We've talked about this kind of stuff for years.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the church is going to be here when we're gone.
Probably.
It's just occurred to me. And by the way, you look great for 60 something. Let me tell you. And what you've been through physically and mentally. I'm really happy to have you. I think you've said it all today. And if there's anything I'm leaving out or you'd like to elaborate on, please do.
I would say I would love it if your listeners would come follow me on Substack. I write weekly on Substack, and it's usually rabble-rousing, and sometimes it's lists of things you can do to resist and so on. So it's fairly political. But I'm on every platform except for Twitter because fuck those dudes. Sorry, am I not supposed to say that?
No, I thought it was great. I'm surprised you stopped where you did.
I don't need to say it all. It's written on my face. But yeah, I'm on every platform except that or Truth Social or any of that nonsense. And also, I couldn't figure out Mammoth or whatever that one was. But all the rest of them, I'm on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Substack. I post regularly there. Yeah, I mean, I post, even LinkedIn. I mean, I'm in all of those places talking about what's coming up with my books and all that. I do try to keep it somewhat professional, but the professional is the personal, and the personal is political, and it is the height of privilege to not use your platform to talk about what's happening. I mean, it's like, if I say nothing, they won't come and get me. They're going to fucking come and get you no matter what. Everyone is on the list. It's just when are they going to get around to you? So don't sit there and think that you're safe. The leopards are going to eat your face too. And don't be shocked when it happens.
There you go.
It happened in 1939 when people ignored what was going on.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they're rounding people up.
Yep.
And it wasn't just the Jews that got rounded up.
Correct.
It was a lot of people. And they went to concentration camps.
Yep.
And we're coming close to seeing tyranny on the streets.
So yes, are you going to protest on Saturday, the No King's Day? Are you getting out there?
Well, I think my protest is letting folks know what's going on in the world on this podcast. My getting out there is not going to serve anybody because I can't face all this stuff without bringing my anger to it. And I prefer not to have that show in the public.
I hear you, but I encourage you to use your platform and your position to encourage people to get out there and to walk the walk about what's important. And it's important that we show him that we're not going to lie down and take his frickin' military parade as just a sign of the times. We're going to protest it because there are no kings in America.
Yeah,
Hey,
no, I think we
parade
all
was
have to
canceled.
take up arms, and not as in the Second Amendment.
We have to
I
take a
just
stand
read
because
somewhere
otherwise we get rolled over by the steamroller. We have to say it. And the higher up the echelon you are, as far as white men being at the top, because that's where they've always been, white dudes have an even greater responsibility than I do as a middle-class white woman to use your position of power and say, don't do this to my brown brothers and sisters. Don't do this to my black brothers and sisters. Don't do this to the women. Don't separate the families. Don't send people to jail without due process. Habeas corpus is a thing. It's been a thing since the frickin' Magna Carta. So stand up for it. So I'm here to push you with a smile.
Hey, thank you, Julia, for making us see the light a little bit. I think I went off the air.
No, you're still here.
Okay.
Okay. Paulie, why don't you close us out? If you need to clarify anything with Julia, please do.
I'm just gonna run through the stuff that I normally do, which is thank you, Julia Park Tracy, for joining us. Thank you very much, dear. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on. And I know Zig has been asking me for literally months, and it's taken me, I just been swamped coming after chemo. And then I went on a book tour, and then it's a new year and it's been insane. So,
well, it seems like we didn't have enough time. We started late, and I know we would love more time with you down the road. So please keep up with us so we can get you back on the show.
Will do.
All right.
Thank
and
you.
then you guys remember what Zig says. Zig says, give to your local Head Start program. That's right. Programs help children get ready to succeed in school and in life. If you have any books at home, get them all bound up and bring them to your local Head Start program, or give any way you can. Volunteer, everything, because, you know, that chainsaw did a lot of damage to a lot of these government programs. So this is a good one. Give our kids a future. Also, don't forget all of Zig's socials. Follow him on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. There's his handles. You can watch him live. It's the Zig in the Zone show every Tuesday from 11 to 1. And I think that's it. Otherwise, we are out, Zig.
Well,
I'm gone, buddy.
It's actually 12 to 2. But,
almost at this point.
It that way. To keep it easy for you, Paulie,
yes, sir.
We're going to make it that way. Zig in the Zone, a nooner.
An afternoon delight, so is what we're doing. Gotcha.
Well, I wouldn't use the word delight because that would not be truth in advertising.
Plus, I think there was another show, if I remember right, there was a show. We had a show here many, many years ago called Afternoon Delight, so we're not going to steal. But hey, for myself...
And a great song. I think we talked about that.
Yes, we did. So for myself, Ziggy, and...
Julia Park Tracy.
Thank you. Julia.
Come back soon, Julia, and say hi to Patrick. And if he wants to talk about the A's at any time, love to have him back. He was a great guest.
I'll let him know. Right. Thanks.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week in the zone. For myself and the rest of the crew, we are out. We'll see you guys.